Hey guys, it's Miss Fuller. Sorry I'm missing you guys today, but I wanted to walk through everything with you, make sure you've got an idea of how to do what we're about to embark on with our project for repertoire selection. First things first, make sure that you have signed in on the roster so that we can get attendance in today. And then secondly, make sure that you have all the materials you need. You're going to need a Chromebook. You are going to need earbuds. You're going to need pencil. You are going to need your chorus folder, even though you're not singing. I do want you to put these things in your folder at the end of class today so you'll have them for Wednesday, because like I told you on Thursday, we'll be working on this for a couple of days in class. So I want you to keep everything together so that you'll have it Wednesday when I see you, because we're going to pick up where you leave off today, okay? So anyway, then you will be given 2 worksheets and a guideline sheet, okay? Your worksheet is going to look like this. Sorry, that's falling. It says chorus repertoire selection sheet, and you'll see that it's got these little boxes for you to fill in as you go through. And what you need to do with that is take 2 of these. You're going to fill one of them out today, and you're going to fill one of them out on Wednesday with some different information. But it is front and back, so just go ahead and put one in your folder so that you can save it for Wednesday, and then I'm going to walk you through this one in just a second, okay? So you should have 2 of those, and then the other thing that you're going to need is a chorus, gosh, I can't hold them straight, chorus repertoire selection guidelines, okay? This is for all 3 classes, and if you look at your guideline sheet, this is going to be really important, because the first thing you see on there is the definition of repertoire, and we discussed that a little bit on Thursday when we were trying to introduce this. And it says a collection of pieces that an ensemble or a performer knows or is prepared to perform, okay? So what we're doing, like we said, is working together to choose some repertoire for our spring concert and the festivals and stuff that we're trying to get to. Anyway, you need the notes that you took Thursday. I gave you some guidelines about what we're looking for. Remember, you're looking for an opener. It's something that's going to grab everybody's attention, usually offbeat. We're going to kick the concert off of that with that, and that's going to be for all 3 grades. So keep in mind that you've got 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, okay? Then we'll need a closer, which will also be for 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. And we talked about how we could go one of 2 ways. You can either do the mic drop, or you can do the warm fuzzy, and just kind of depends on how you want people to feel when they leave and what you want them to talk about, okay? And then each one of you has 2 songs for your individual chorus class. So you're going to be looking for 1 song that we identified as mainstream, which means it would be popular to a larger population of people, and it would be something that's not classical, okay, and not art music. It would be, you know, something of another genre like pop or rock or even country, something like that. So mainstream, we're calling current mainstream anything from 2000 to now, to current, to January 14th, 2019, okay? And then we're calling classic mainstream anything from 1999 or before. So like if it's a classic R&B song like Aretha Franklin's Respect, or a classic rock song from the 70s like Bohemian Rhapsody or whatever it is, you're going to identify it as classic mainstream or current mainstream, even though it might not be like yesterday current. Anyway, the next thing you're going to see on your guideline sheet is the standards that we're actually meeting. So if you'll look at your guideline sheet, you'll see first the standards for selecting the music. Now you see the numbers 6 VMP1A. That is actually the number that has been legally filed by the Department of Education, both in Tennessee and in the United States, to identify this music standard for chorus students. Okay, a 6 means it's a 6th grade. VM means that it's vocal music or chorus. P means performance because it's a performance class. 1 means this is the first standard, and A means this is the first section of the first standard. If you look on down, you'll see that you have the same numbers, but you have a B, and then the next one ends with C, and you'll also look and see that you have a 6, 7, and 8 for each one of those. So you've got a standard for each grade level. For selecting the music, it's talking about selecting varied repertoire to study based on musical skill, based on understanding of the song structure, the context, the technical skill of the ensemble. As you go up a grade level, the standard gets a little bit more specific. So 7th grade, yours is worded a little bit differently, and then 8th grade, you have a little bit more detail on yours for sure, because then it starts talking about music theory as well as structure and all that. And remember, we also talked about context can include the context in which the song was written, what it was written for, and it can also include the occasion that we're performing it for. And then as we go to the next part, once we select the music, this project is going to be pretty much an all-semester thing as we're getting ready for each one of these events. After this music is selected, there's standards for rehearsing it and what you want to focus on in rehearsal. And then once you rehearse, there's standards for how you perform it. So I'm not going to read each one of those, but I want you to keep these handy in your folder and refer to these, because this is what we are attempting to do from today, from the point of picking the music all the way down to the point of singing it when it's all said and done. If you flip that over, you're going to see things to consider when you're choosing your music. So you see type, size, age, and the skill level of the ensemble. So type would be, is it a women's chorale, which would be an all-girl choir? Is it a men's chorus? Is it a mixed chorus? Is it a show choir? Because they're going to have different song selections. The purpose and occasion for the performance, that's, are we doing a patriotic performance? Is it a holiday performance? Ours is spring, and so we have a theme, and so if it's not necessarily a holiday or a certain dated type of thing like that, you may have a theme. Voicing, that refers to the voice parts in your choir. If you look at number 3, it says, is the song in unison? Unison means everybody singing the same thing. SSA means that there are 2 soprano parts. You have a soprano 1, a soprano 2, and an alto. The alto being the lowest and soprano 2 being the middle voice. So that's 3-part harmony, but those are mainly female. If you have a chorus that's very low on males, or your males still are young enough that they have higher voices, SSA could maybe be used for that too. SAB is soprano, alto, baritone. If you have an all-girl choir, you're definitely not going to pick soprano, alto, baritone. So we want to think about what do we have in our different ensembles. 2-part just means that there are 2 parts. They would be identified in the music as part 1 and part 2. Not necessarily soprano and alto or tenor and bass, but just 1 and 2. And sometimes they're arranged like that because of the vocal range that they're written in. 3-part mixed or 3-part, you see SAB, SSA, and SATB identify the voice parts by letters that represent soprano, alto, tenor, or bass. Well, 3-part might, again, might just be 3-part harmonies. It would be written in a particular vocal range for a group, but it might not necessarily mean that we've got SSA, that's 3 parts, or SAB, which is also 3 parts. It's just 3-part mixed. Do you have the voicings in your ensemble? You have to take that into account. And what are the abilities? If you have guys that have really low voices and you don't have many guys who can sing tenor, which is the higher male part, you might have to consider if maybe some of the lower voiced girls can sing the tenor part. Sometimes it's okay if you're not stretching that low range too much. You don't want to do that just because it's unhealthy, so you have to think about that. Instrumentation, you have to decide, are you going to use live instruments or are you going to use recorded instruments? If you're going with live, which ones do you need? Piano and flute, guitar and cello? Do you need a whole jazz band to do a certain song? You have to take that into account, and also usually you have to know people that can play those things well. And usually if you have to pull people in to play those that aren't already members of your ensemble or members of the school band or something like that, most of the time you have to pay those people. So you have to think about budget. You have to think about budget a lot. If you don't think that you have the resources in people to come and play instruments, you might consider that you need to have an accompaniment CD like we used on the winter concert. However, those cost money too. A CD for one song is generally close to $30. It can run anywhere from $26 to $28 usually. That's for one song. So if you're singing 8 songs, just think, oh, that's $28 per song that I'm spending. So that's another thing. And is it even available? You know, certain songs don't have CD accompaniments available. So you might have to think, how can I do this another way? You might have to figure out a way to adapt it and arrange it yourself. Maybe leave out a certain instrument, or you might just have to pick another song completely. So sometimes that's what happens. Then arrangements. Arrangement is a pretty important word when it comes to selecting music for a chorus, because you have to find the one that suits you. There may be an arrangement for an all-girl choir. It might be a 2-part arrangement. An arrangement means that someone took a song that a composer wrote. It was composed by one person, and then another person came along and decided that they were going to make it useful for a larger group of people, depending on the voices in that larger group. And they might even change tempos. They might cut sections, or maybe add a little section of a different song to it. They might do something like change the instrumentation and add more instruments. Arrangement just means that someone has created a new version of that song. So sometimes you can look up a song and find more than one arrangement of it by different people, and so you'll have to look at different ones to see which one suits your group the best. Difficulty level number 6, that just means how hard it is. Sometimes it tells you in the music, and sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes you just have to listen and kind of give your most educated guess about how it's going to fit for your group based on their past performances. Can we pull this off? Do we have enough voices? Do we have the range? Or whatever it is. And then availability. Sometimes you might find a song that you really like, and maybe it's not available in a chorus version at all. Or maybe this happens a lot with classical music and more art type songs like we're looking at. If it's an older song, sometimes it'll be out of print and you can't get it from a publisher anymore. So then you have to think, well, that's one I really want to do. Do I want to take the time to transcribe it and write it myself for my choir? Or, you know, do I know another choir director at another school that maybe has done that before and has it in their music library? Sometimes you can borrow stuff and just, you know, send an email out to all the music teachers and say, hey, do you have this song? Sometimes that works. But yeah, you just have to find out if it's available. If it's an older song, sometimes out of print is an issue. If it's a popular song, and I mean not popular in the mainstream sense that we've been talking about, but popular in the sense that everybody wants to sing it, then sometimes it might not be out of print, but if you have to order it, a warehouse might be out of it, and then it's on back order, and you have to wait. Might not be around in time. So anyway, things to consider when you're choosing music. And then what we need for our repertoire, we talked about an opener and a closer, and I described those on your worksheet as well as when you took notes the other day. But I added one in here, and it's called a filler. And that is just a song that might go in second place after the opener. You might still have the large group on stage and do a second song, okay? Then it could also go right before the closer, something like that. Or, you know, it might be just like a transition song. It could even be something for your own grade level. You know, if you have something that's really short, if one of the songs you happen to listen to and select on your sheet is really, really short, you might find a second song and you might put it in the middle of your pop and your classical. Anyway, those are kind of the guidelines and things to keep in mind while you're doing your searching. I wanted to show you kind of how to go through the website and look for things, okay? So, can you see my computer? You see that? Okay, so I know that's kind of like whatever. Anyway, you're going to go up into your browser and type in www.jwpepper, all right, .com. This is probably the biggest collection, catalog, and warehouse and distributor of printed music for choirs and bands and, you know, orchestras. They do school music, church music, all kinds of different stuff. I want to show you something really quick. Some of you who are worried about maybe not having a Chromebook either because it was broken or something else, before we go to the website, I'm going to show you this. You're going to look on this back table over here, and y'all see those? I have a stack of catalogs. You're not going to be able to listen to recordings, but you are going to be able to go through these, and they have indexes where you can look for certain types of choir music, and you can read a description about it. It tells you what's available. It tells you what voicings it's available in and instrumentation, and if there's, you know, accompaniment available if you need that. So you need to use those catalogs if you don't have a Chromebook. Oh, and the other thing while we're walking around here, if you didn't bring earbuds, here they are. Those need to be cleaned and returned when you're done with them. I know exactly how many pair I have, and some of these are brand spanking new, and here's the Clorox wipes, okay? So make sure you have that going on. Some of you might be watching this on Google Classroom on your Chromebook. If that didn't pan out, you might be watching this as a class. I know this video is getting long, but I needed to go through this with you. Anyway, you might be watching it on my Apple TV. So if that's the case, I hope that some nice person helped get that started. Anyway, if you can see that, I'm trying to see myself what you're looking at. Anyway, you have J.W. Pepper, and you'll see where they have choral, band, general church, all that kind of stuff. You're going to click on choral, okay? And it's going to have a drop-down menu, just like that. Do you see? You see that? It says school, community, church, and vocal. You're going to click on school because you're a school course. Okay, and then what you want to do is there's a couple of different options here, all right? You can start just going through, immediately there's things that pop up. Top sellers. You love the money, not the money, I love money. Do you love the movie? Sing a Mary Poppins favorite. Like, those things are on there if you can see them, okay? So these are the things that automatically pop up. But up here at the top, we'll go back. This right here is called the Pepper playlist, I hope you can see. And this one on the left is the middle school playlist. And you can click on that and click on it again if you see that. It says hard. Why are they? Okay. So now you finally get here, and hopefully you're seeing this menu that says all those little things. Those are all descriptions of types of music. So there's mixed voices secular, treble choirs, which would be all girl. Anyway, we're going to go down and look by genre. That's by voicing at the top. I would go with mixed voices. And then you can look by genre if you keep scrolling down, or you can look by theme or occasion. I would go with either genre or voicing. That would be the easiest. So anyway, this is a playlist. Like, this is nothing but recordings. So if you pick on one of those, like I'm gonna hit on the voicing menu, I clicked on mixed voices, okay? So hopefully you can see this. It's hard for me to know what you're looking at, okay? So that right there, just walk through, okay? Some of you might have found this already, but you can click on any of those song titles and listen to them, and then you can click again and see what is available. So always sing your song. I'm just gonna click on the first one. So you see, you get a recording, and it will tell you in the description column, this is 3-part mixed, or this is SAB, or this is SA, or 2-part, or whatever that is. You can also go, if you go right there on the left side, there's also a choice for elementary choral. You can go middle school choral. You can go into all those. We want to go either concert selections on middle school choral, if you see that. And you can go to pop, vocal, and jazz when you start looking for your mainstream. You can look in mixed chorus, click on more, and then you have some more downloads. That might be. The editor's choice is just a collection that Pepper puts together themselves, so that those are kind of some of the most popular from the editors. Anyway, concert and festival, you can look at those. Folk songs, that's a good. And then there's even a pop, stage, and screen. Medleys. You don't want to probably do show choir. I don't know. I would stay with the other. But anyway, a good place to start is concert selections. Those are going to be more of your artsy choral kind. And then pop, vocal, and jazz under the middle school menu, if you can see that right there. Okay? Now, I'm just going to click on anything. Okay? I'm going to go to pop, vocal, jazz, stage, and screen. And I'm going to, let's see, This Is Me is one of the first songs that pops up, and we've listened to that already. But when I pull this up, it shows me a description of the song, tells me who it is written by, if there's an arranger. This was written by Benj Pasek and Justin Paul. They were the composers. And then it's arranged by Audrey Snyder, okay? Now, I might scroll down and find this song again, arranged by John Smith or whoever, you know, it could be anybody. But under that particular arrangement, I have a picture. You see the picture of what it looks like, so you know what you're looking for. And then also in the information underneath, you can see that there is a 3-part mixed version. There is a 2-part mixed version. And what's cool about this particular one is not only is there a performance CD if you need that, but there is specific part MP3s that you can download. So that means if we were doing the 3-part mixed and you had part 1, let's say sopranos were part 1, then I could actually, for $1.99, I can download just the soprano part. You know how sometimes I have to go in and make those for you guys? Sometimes that's really time consuming, but this one has it available. So I can do the accompaniment MP3, or I can order an accompaniment CD, but I can also order the specific soprano, alto, and tenor parts. So that's really good. So if I was picking this one, I would go in, if you'll look at your repertoire selection sheet, you're gonna go and write, you know, song 1, title and composer. This Is Me by Benj Pasek and what's his name? Paul, I forgot. Andy, whatever. No, Justin Paul. And then there's arranger in the second line, and you're gonna write Audrey Snyder. That's gonna tell me which one to look for, because if I just type in This Is Me, there might be 14 different arrangements of them come up. And then voicing, all right? If you're thinking about using this as an opener or a filler or a closer for the large group, we can pull off a 2-part probably pretty easily, but in the large group, we have a lot more of each voice part, so you could do a 3-part mixed. Anyway, you can just say what it's available in. You can write 3-part, 2-part. It might tell you something different. It might say SA if it was just going to be a 2-part soprano and alto song. Instruments, sometimes you can look into the music. You can look at like a shot of the music, and sometimes it will tell you in the description. This one, you know, this is a pop song from the movie The Greatest Showman, so it's going to be really involved instrumentally. So this one has the CD accompaniment, so we would probably want to go with that or the MP3. So you can write, yes, a recorded accompaniment is available. Now, duration means how long is the song, okay? So usually if you click on the picture of the sheet music, it will come up and show you. Sometimes it doesn't. If you're looking at an actual piece of sheet music, and we actually have this one, This Is Me. I'll show you how we'd find it on here. This Is Me, right there. It says 2-part in the corner. 2-part, so that's the 2-part mixed one instead of the 3-part. But if I open it up to the first page, usually right under the title, it tells me the duration. And we talked about in programming, you know, we're looking at like maybe an hour and some change, but we want to keep it right around an hour. So the duration of this song is right here under the title, and it says it is 3 minutes and 45 seconds. Okay, so we want to know that, because if we're choosing 7-minute songs for every selection, we're going to be there all night, and nobody wants to do that. The difficulty level, you might have to guess at this. Some of the music will tell you. This one right here says it's a level 2, okay? Now, for me, I know that that means this is a 2-part mix song, and it's not the simplest, but it's probably like an intermediate, we would say. Some of them won't say that, so you'll just have to listen to it and decide, you know, you make your own best guess about that. And then style, this one is definitely mainstream. It's not the classical choral stuff that we've been talking about, so you could just write that. You could say Broadway or pop, or, you know, whatever. Some of you might choose a arrangement of a country song, so you would put country in yours. And then, are you choosing this as an opener, closer, or your mainstream or your classical piece? So anyway, you're going to do all that information for each one, and fill that in 4 times. There's a front and back to this, and like I said, put your other worksheet in your choir folder, and then we can come back to that Wednesday. On Wednesday, we're actually going to open up the chorus library, and I'm going to let you look through sheet music that's already here, because that's another thing that has to be considered, is how much money are we going to have to spend to get the music that we need, and how long is it going to take us to get it. And then we'll take some of the music that's already here in the storage closet, and you can take individual pieces and look them up on the Pepper site and listen to them, or look them up on YouTube. You can find a lot of chorus music on YouTube. You can find the recordings just like here on the Pepper site, the professional recordings, or you can find just random choirs, different school choirs singing them. So anyway, have you been following along or listening or whatever? That's everything you need to know on this project. And so you've got about 35 minutes to finish and for today, and then we'll pick it up on Wednesday. So thank you.